The hard part is over.
Wow, great at presents.
Open the wine.
Awesome, awesome.
Wine.
That's really nice.
All right, we'll give a 1 minute warning. How's that?
Yes, sir.
1 minute to get squared away.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm calling Amy. Okay, perfect. No, I figured, no worries. All right, we'll go ahead and start, and we're just getting settled, so no worries. Just pulling in right now. Thank you. Thank you.
I thought you were getting.
Okay, so whenever, she'll be here shortly.
We're
but-
waiting for our attorney. Yes, we'll give.
Gotta have the attorney.
Very, it's very unusual. So I think it's the variant scary. We came in
I don't think
on
it started.
Saturday, and they were like,
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. All right, welcome everyone. This is the December 15th, 2021 meeting of the Boca Raton Airport Authority. And just so you know, this is being covered through Zoom and being recorded, so be guided accordingly. And let's do the roll call first. So roll call.
Mr. Merrill?
Here.
Mr. Tucker?
Here.
Mr. Nobles?
Here.
Ms. Scott? Here. Mr. Vogel?
Here.
Mr. Colvin?
Here.
Mr. Powell?
Here. Okay, thank you very much. We do have a quorum. And first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held November 17th, 2021. So move.
Second.
Okay, have a second. Any questions, any comments, any edits? Okay, we have a motion and a second. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unopposed. Do we have any agenda changes?
No, sir.
Public request. If any member of the public wishes to provide comment on any item, the time to do so is now. Please complete a public card identifying the item upon which you wish to be heard and provide it to Ms. Landers up to my left here. The public comment cards are located in the back of the room. Each member of the public wishing to comment will be provided with 5 minutes to do so. The chair reserves the right to move the public comment opportunity on a specific agenda item to the point in the agenda where that item is to be considered and or extend the allotted time per speaker. So Ms. Landers, do we have any public comments?
Not this time.
Consent agenda. Ms. Ben, are there any consent agenda items?
No, sir.
And are there any federal, state, or municipal items?
There is not, or are not.
All right, next order of business is our financial report and a presentation of November 2021 financial report. And Randy Nobles is our Secretary Treasurer. Any comments before?
No, we'll just turn it over to Jada on the report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jada Stewart, Accounting Coordinator. In your package is the financial report through November 30th, 2021. As you can see, total operating revenues year to date are approximately $1 million. Total operating expenses year to date are approximately $588,000. And net income before depreciation is approximately $459,000. Overall revenues are 11% above budget year to date, primarily due to the seasonal nature of fuel flowage and customs revenue. Expenses are down approximately 63% to budget year to date due to project expenses incurred but not yet received. On behalf of Airport Management and Secretary Treasurer, we respectfully present the November 2021 financial report to the airport.
Okay, thank you, Jada. I'm looking for a motion to approve the November financial report. Mitch, okay, do I have a second?
Second.
So at this point, any questions or comments on the report? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. We have several tenant reports and requests. So the first one is signature flight support, a special event request. And Travis Bryan is going to make the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, one up on the agenda is signature flight support, hosting the Boca Chambers Pulse Group, meet the chamber trustees and board members. Not familiar with Pulse Group, it's an offshoot of the chamber for professionals under 40. They plan to do a light order and drinks. The high tops will be brief sessions for 40 to 60 people. And signature main signature. I've actually attended that before. It's nice, pretty low key, so there's not too many attendees. Report management recommends approving resolution 12/22/21 for Pulse Chamber.
Okay, Cheryl, may I have a motion? Do I have a second? Mitch? Okay, any questions on the meeting or on the event for Travis? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is Atlantic Aviation Special Request. Travis?
And again, February 4th, Atlantic Aviation planning on holding an event for the charity event for the Boca Raton Police Foundation, held within Hangar 3 and the adjacent grant areas. The 5th annual call for backup party benefiting the police foundation. We do have representation here from the police foundation and Atlantic Aviation. If they have any questions. Parking is planning to be off-site with shuttle buses provided for the attendees. Barring any questions for them, airport management recommends approval resolution 123321 for the police foundation party.
Okay, for motion, okay, Mel and Cheryl, second. Any questions or comments on this event?
As a member of the Boca Police Foundation, and the great work that Debbie does as the executive leader, I think this is a great event. Strongly support it.
Great, agreed. Thank you very much. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Thank you very much. All right, good luck with the event, Debbie. That's great. Atlantic Aviation Special Event Request, the second one, Travis Bryan.
Last but not least, Atlantic is requesting on behalf of BRAA, air charter to hold their event on February 5th in BRAA's primary hangar. This was a benefit fundraiser for the John Jewish Academy program. The entire held within Hangar 9, approximately 200 guests, and valet parking provided with hors d'oeuvres and cocktails. The same department, barricade security plan is going to be boarded for our approval prior to the event. So they put up quite a few events in that area. Should be pretty much satisfied. Don't see any representation from there, or see the land staff here if they have any questions. Airport management recommend resolution 123421.
Okay, I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Bob,
Second.
all right, Randy, a second. Again, any questions, comments on this event? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Once again, approved. Thank you. Thank you, Travis. Good job. Next is Premier Aviation of Boca Raton Phase 3 update. And I think Ms. Bennett's going to give us the update. Okay.
Yes, it'll be a very brief update. As the board will recall, there are 2 triggers for permit approvals and timelines that Premier has to meet for the terms of the lease. According to the terms of the lease, Premier had 90 days from the date of the approval by this body of the 100% plan. So the acceptance of those plans that happened in September. So the first time frame of the 90 days was up last week. However, there's a second trigger if there's a site plan approval process that is required by the city, and that's for 180 days total from the date of the approval by the board. So that would bring move the permit requirement date for the Premier to come back to the board with a permit and for final approval for the start of construction to the beginning of March 7th, the first week of March. So wanted to provide that update to you because, until we heard back from them as to which of the 2 timeframes would be triggered, we weren't sure what we would be working under for tonight's meeting, but thankfully, they're in shape and have indicated that they will be back to us in March.
So they're still operating under the agreement they had with the board, and that's the main thing, I think, right?
Correct. They have another 90 days to finalize that process.
Any questions or comments on that? Okay, thank you for the status report, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Executive Director and staff reports, 9. First is the noise abatement and operations summary for the month of November. And we'll turn to Robert Abbott for the presentation. Robert?
Good evening. For you, the operations noise abatement report for the month of November 2021. During the month of November, we had 7,393 operations. That was up 22% from the operations of November 2020. And it's pretty much exactly the same as we had in November of 2019. Dedicated deliveries were up 45% from November 2020. And they were also up 26% over November 2019. We had the avgas deliveries were down 100% from November of 2020, and they were down 52% from November of 2019. We had 9 different households file with concerns on our hotline and online forums during the month. And see a breakdown there. Most of the calls did come from the arrivals in the 5 that we normally see. We had a couple others that were in touch with our traffic as well. Vast majority of the arrivals. Customs report, we had 179 aircraft, which cleared customs in November. That's up significantly from the 73 that we had on 2020. And it's also up from 2019, where we had 135 customs clearance. We didn't have any vessel clearance during the month. And the arrivals from 22 different countries. All over the place there. Our after hours clearings, we had 56 during the month. 37 occurred on the Tuesdays and Wednesdays when facilities normally closed. You can see the breakdown per hour. So that concludes the operations report for the month of November. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Robert? Yes, no.
I know there's a surcharge for the after hours clear. Am I correct?
Yes,
Does that cover our costs for customs?
yes.
Okay.
Last meeting, I brought up Boca Bath and Tennis Club and provided a copy of the Babel. Just seeing if there was a follow-up opportunity if that worked
Yes,
out.
sir. I reached out to them and they all got back to me as well, and I sent them over a little something, and they were going to try to see if they could squeeze it into December one. If it didn't work on their time, we're going to definitely move to January.
Great, and it's nice to see that there weren't any issues on this month.
Yeah, we didn't have to.
Yeah, great, thank you.
No other questions? Thank you very much, Robert. Next is item B. Request to approve the public transportation grant agreement for the financial project with the state of Florida Department of Transportation for the administration building improvements at the Boca Raton Airport. And Travis, you're gonna do that one for us, Travis?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Part of transportation is offered the PDGA for the administration building improvements. Fund some of the improvements we're trying to do around here, trying to better host some of the public meetings, not just this one, but some of the other we can have more public events here. So to expand this room a little bit, make it a little more user friendly, some better integration of technology, different cabinetry to hide the technology a little bit. Also realign a few of the office spaces to kind of make it better suit our current staffing levels and what we plan on doing. This is a grant total of $150,000 of that. The airport will be responsible for $30,000, and it's available in our current budget. We recommend approval resolution 12352.
Okay, with the motion, Bob? Mitch, second.
And I have a question.
Okay, question?
So will the expansion allow more people to sit in this room?
Several more. Trying to finalize the design plan of it, kind of realign what what it might look like, but we're planning on having a slightly larger capacity here. But also kind of an interchangeable area where this wall is going to become a flexible wall. So if we need to expand, it can go into the kitchen a little bit, take up some of that space, but still hosts it can close off.
So
that
that
was sliders.
sliders, oh, great.
So
Maybe reorient so that we can have the presentations over there. And this way there could be classroom type seating this way, stadium seating, and we can expand if we need to into the kitchen area.
some of the technology that's currently housed over there would be a little bit of cabinetry and some other wiring and things of that nature. Yeah, so the expansion kind of this direction a little bit.
And we're also looking at perhaps enhancing the HVAC mechanical systems for higher capability of air filtration and those kinds of things. Now that we're having more meetings here, just to make sure that we're as robust as we can be in terms of air circulation. Because again, this room was not contemplated for larger public meetings.
Right. It was a boardroom.
It was a boardroom,
Right, yes.
exactly. But this way, maybe we can have more space that way
Yeah.
and move everything that way. So, and better air circulation, make sure we're as good as we can be in that regard.
Will that mean an expansion of the parking lot then?
We can certainly take a look at that. Right now, I don't know that we are reached capacity, but we can certainly take a look at that as well. Part of our goal was to expand a little bit to add when we do the observation area, add some additional parking there as well.
Sure.
I think the flexibility component of what you're doing is certainly admirable. I wonder, is there an opportunity with this grant to look at some of the other walls for flexibility? Because you mentioned that some of the changes that you're making have to do with office size,
Right.
having stacking going forward. But I think, hindsight's always 20/20, but if we were to do this building again, we might have initially built in flexible walls to accommodate for changing needs. So my question is, is it too late to do that, or can?
No, not at all. In fact, this project is being accelerated a little bit because our original plan was that this year we would just do concept and, budgeting, because this was not even budgeted for this year. So we were just really working with the architects and with the condo team to kind of brainstorm and then put a project in for next year. But we haven't started that process yet. So we can certainly look at all of those
So my
things.
suggestion would be to be more forward
Right.
thinking on this. So certainly what you're suggesting would meet our immediate needs. But let's look forward, because again, if we were thinking
Right.
a little deeper, perhaps we did this, we would have said, oh, let's make everything flexible, so that 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now.
Right.
we can move things around.
Right, absolutely.
So, good point. Do we have a budget for this? Because it says 150, of which you're responsible for 30, but now the goal line's moving a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it 80/20?
This is 80/20 for a total. So in essence, the way that the grants work is the FDOT will participate 80% of the cost up to that
Up to that
100,
money.
120. So if we go in and look at some of these additional areas of scope that exceed the FDOT project amount, they would only fund up to 80% of that 150. So they would give us 120, whether we spend more. If we spend more, we cover the rest of
Got
it,
it.
right?
So after this, what role do we have, if any, going forward in this process?
You, the board?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to go back now. We have to get this back. One of you has to sign it tonight. I think Mr. Chair and the Secretary Treasurer have to sign the agreement. When we get it back from the DOT, which will probably be in the next month, then we will engage with the architecture team and Recondo to kind of finalize or not finalize, but formalize a design schedule. And we'd be happy to bring that back before we put it out on the street for you to see what we're considering, to make sure that you're comfortable with that. So
You
we're
guys
happy
wanna
to
see
do
what
that.
it looks like before it gets.
And then it'd probably be 6 months down the road, once they do whatever they have to do, but.
I think it would be good.
Sure, of course. We'd love to get your
Bring some
input.
life experience
This
in.
is your room. This is
Just
your
to,
boardroom.
just to clarify on what Cheryl's saying, and I agree with her point 100%. The grant though is finite.
Yes. this
So
budget.
if we spend 300, we have $120,000 grant and 180 is on us. But
Correct.
I still think we need to consider that, even though we maybe digging into our own pockets.
And
Correct.
it's possible that if you come up with a plan, and you tell us, hey, there might be other $2 available. Similarly, you could still go forward and execute the full plan that contemplates the movable, flexible, interior design, and then just execute 150 until the new grant. is accepted.
Correct.
But at least we would have done the design.
In fact, that's a great point, because originally that internally, what we thought we would only be able to do would just work on this room and then go back and do the offices. But with this opportunity with the grant, we thought, well, we could do both. So we had already kind of been thinking along the lines of phasing it in. There's a lot of value in doing it all together because you get a better project, you get some economies of scale, and you hopefully get
You don't have
better
to wait a year.
better bidding.
Somebody come in.
Exactly. So I think, yeah, we definitely agree with that. We will, like I said, we can't spend any money on the grant until we have the executed grant back from the state. But once that happens, we'll engage, as I said, the engineering and architecture team and let them know that you are looking beyond just what we as a staff had kind of limited their scope to. And then we can come back when we have some concepts for you to give us your feedback on it.
And just to clarify for purposes of the record, nobody is suggesting that we expand the footprint
No.
or we go to 6 floors or
More
there's no
efficient.
expansion
Understood.
here. It's simply flexibility to be more efficient going
Yeah.
forward.
Absolutely.
Anticipate
Agreed.
future. needs.
So Scott's not getting his executive shower. and
Exactly.
whatnot.
Hot tubs
Understood. Understood. Yes. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Good commentary, good questions. Any other questions at all? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Travis. Next is the minimum standards update, and I think Mr. Scott Colette is going to give that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The item for you is an update to the minimum standards, two sections in particular, maintenance shops and fixed-based operators. This is something that we've been working on with both the FBOs and the maintenance shops for quite some time. There's been some staff turnover involved during that period, so it's taken a little bit longer than we originally anticipated. But essentially what this change is going to allow the maintenance shops and FBO to do is to maintain an authorized list of third-party maintenance providers that meet the airport's insurance standards and whatever additional standards that FBO or maintenance operator may wish to impose upon them to handle any instances that may arise when the maintenance operator or the FBO can't get to a particular aircraft in a certain amount of time. And to also add some clarity, there's certain work that can only be done by the original equipment manufacturer, and the current minimum standards don't necessarily take that into account. So we're adding some clarity for those instances, and also instances if there's something that's just plain not available on the field. So airport management recommends approval of resolution 1236-21, amending the minimum standards for aeronautical activities at the Boca Raton Airport.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Questions or comments?
Just to put it in perspective, we have been working on this for years to keep unlicensed and uninsured strangers from being called to work and hanging at off hours and all kinds of things. And our clients on the field have been asking for more maintenance because our FBOs are saturated. This, we finally got it. It's a great move forward. It's going to really keep things in order and protect us, the airport.
I saw the red line changes are on page 15, or I guess that's 95 of the total agenda, and page 20 of the 100 of the full agenda, and page 20 of the presentation. So you might want to look at the two red lines if you haven't.
I missed something?
So I do appreciate you giving us the red line version, and it just adds just exactly what you said now.
Yeah, there's slightly different wording between each of the two sections. The first one is for the FBO.
Okay.
And if they're sponsoring the maintenance activity, then there has to be agreement between the FBO and the operator for who's coming on. If in the event we get 30 more acres and we have a standalone maintenance operator on the field, that's what that second red line addresses there. So currently that doesn't really apply, but we figured if we're touching it now, I might as well cover both situations in case they're.
We finally got here after years of trying.
Yeah, that's great. And I noticed it's about the 13th or 14th revision,
Yeah.
so it's not like something.
And it also lowers the temperature here with all our
Yeah,
aircraft
Owners,
owners,
yeah.
big time.
okay,
Good.
really, okay, great.
So they'll love us now,
Huh?
right? They're all gonna love us now. I'm
Ah.
joking.
Talk to Mitch.
Okay, bring them up.
I need to find.
Love us.
Yeah, I need to find love.
Spoken like a
No, it's a
lawyer.
big move forward. Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? It's very positive. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thanks for your work on that, Mel. Appreciate that and the staff. Next is the corporate identity and community engagement program update. And Ms. Vanessa Chen will make the presentation. Vanessa.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and board members. Vanessa Chen, Community Engagement Specialist. I will be giving a brief annual update over what we have accomplished in the past year. Majority of these items you've already seen and were very successful. However, we want to have for each of you. First is our website analytics. As you can see from the chart, the returning and new users numbers have gone up compared to last year for Twitter and Instagram. Facebook is down, and this is due to us no longer having boost posts. The next slide is our social media analytics. As you can see, the impressions and engagements for Instagram and Twitter were up during this period compared to last year. Facebook was also down, and this is also attributed to our no longer having boosting posts. On this next slide, it shows the highest total engagement posts for Facebook during this year. When we recognized our tenant, Mr. D'Amico, promotion at Provera, when we highlighted our operations coordinator, Robert Pratt, who received his AAAE certification, and lastly, when we congratulated Ms. Bud and Mr. Now for being reappointed to our board. Next up is the events we hosted and attended all year. From December through November, we participated in over 25 events, such as hosting 4th annual Toys for Tots toy drive, providing an airport tour to council member Yvette Drucker, and participating in the CEO Guild as a few examples to highlight. The next slide is press release. From December through November, we had a total of 9 press releases, which the majority of them were picked up from various media outlets. Lastly, here are some of the updates planned for the upcoming year, which you all will receive more information about. That concludes my presentation. Is there any questions?
I noticed the photo, I think it was on Facebook the other day, of the 2 burrowing owls. That seems like that would have probably gotten a lot of social media engagement, did it?
It actually did.
It did, but it just didn't make the report.
Oh, no, it didn't so for the quarter, it did, but for the whole year, it did not.
And then what was the turnout for the FAU tailgate? Was that better than what we had the 2 years previous in terms of people?
There was actually more tenants participation, and also having that's helping more, there's a lot of participation.
So that's that was our second year doing that.
Yes.
And it's grown each year.
Yeah.
Great.
How do we, or how does anybody, maybe Cheryl might be able to answer this better than anybody, define press release in today's world when everything is seemingly
Immediate.
right, and all technology? Is it still something that shows up in a print that I'm getting thrown in my front yard?
Oh, no. Well, it's still print.
So
it's
you're
still
that guy.
Word.
Right, right.
You know, it's not, you know, and certainly Bob can speak to this as well. It's basically that your distribution channels are many times what they were 30, 40 years ago.
absolutely.
So yeah, you still put the words together, you still have to get the messaging out, But the platforms, think of it as, you're just a river. It used to be there just was one tributary, one kind of main river. Well, now, same messaging, but there's 50 tributaries. It can be Facebook, Twitter, so it can go a lot of different ways. And it's still words, but it's just like money. Money isn't really currency. Our currency anymore is everything that's in the cloud and in the banks, right? It's data. So it comes through electronically. But the concept is still the same. You need to determine what your messages are. We now have much more flexibility on customizing those messages. So for one particular audience on any particular event, you would say, hey, the hot button here is this topic, just like you would do for CEO build.
Yeah.
Right? So that might be you might approach your CEOs in a lot different way than you would the women build, right? It's still building, it's still the same cause, but the way you get them and the information you give to them is a little bit different. So it's basically easier. But it's still
Makes
words and
sense.
messages.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right, exactly right. The amplification is greater. Used to be, it was the 3 or 4 TV stations
Right.
and the newspaper, and now it's
Now they're
that
the ones
plus.
that are struggling to keep
right.
up with all the other
Right.
platforms.
Exactly.
The secondary used to be the primary.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Vanessa. Very good. Appreciate it. Good report. Okay, next item 10 is Authority Board member requests and reports. Now's the time. Any input? I'll just look around the table. Randy, Sharon.
Happy holidays, everybody. It's been a great year. Seems like.
Same here. Happy holidays. Let's stay safe and healthy. I don't know about you, but it seems like the more news I listen to, the wearier I get. And thinking that COVID is behind us, and now you listen and you go, this new variant, it's not. So be aware.
Mitch?
I second what you said. Happy holidays, everybody. Be safe. Have a great time. I've just heard a lot about breakthrough cases with this variant. Some of them have been mild, but some of them haven't. And I keep an eye on this. My doctor friends, I have some friends in Europe who told me it's pretty bad.
Gene? Additional comments?
Happy New Year to everybody.
Amen. Thank you.
I think next year's gotta be better.
That's what you said last year, Gene.
No.
Happy holidays, happy new year, and just be careful. Yeah, just be very careful.
2 things. Thank you very much for these wonderful gifts. Very beautiful. Thank you. Second of all, just an explanation on my inappropriate.
No, I think it's
I
appropriate.
literally came from the ADT holiday happy hour that ended at 4:30, which I managed for 500 people. So I didn't have enough time to go home and change. So thus the Tommy Bahama. Thank you.
All together.
And thank you,
No,
Scott.
the thing that upsets us isn't that you came dressed like that, is that you came without drinks. Push in the wrong button.
But I appreciate Scott loaning me his coat. I get to look at least professional for the photographer.
Yeah, she did.
Other duties as a side, right?
There you go.
Nice coat. I'll add my happy holiday wishes to everybody, and also just want to thank all the staff here for all the work this year. Wish them a happy holiday. And all our friends here that come and work with us. We love working with all of you. We appreciate that. So with that, thank you very much. Any public comments? We're giving cards on that. And Claire, any other business?
Thank you all for all that you do to support us and guide us throughout the year. And it's been an interesting, busy year for us, but I think it's been a successful year thanks to your volunteer efforts. And Christine and Vanessa put together a small token of our staff appreciation. So you can open it once you leave the property boundary. But thank you again for everything you do for us.
Thank you. Okay, our next meeting is January 19th at 6 p.m. right here in the conference room. So I'll
See you
look for a
next year.
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, adjourn, meeting adjourned.